The Morning Drive is sponsored by Power Metallic. To find out more about the company, please visit their website at powermetallic.com. Follow the Money Investor Group is a 100% Indigenous-owned company and certified with the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business.
And Johnson.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you,
Lipari Mining.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to, the way that this segment works, we're going to get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
Kind of where you're from,
Right.
how you got into capital markets,
Okay.
diamonds. But, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Windsor. I was born in Windsor, Ontario. So I'm a Canadian boy. And went to the University of Windsor. I thought I was going to be a doctor, so I was taking biology and that sort of thing, followed the path of my father, who was a physician there. But then I ended up taking a geology course as another major I needed, another science, and I fell in love with it. And it's taken me all over the world. Started out in gold and base metal exploration, even before I graduated. And then when diamonds were discovered in the Northwest Territories in Canada, there was that big diamond rush when you had the discovery of Acadie and Diavik mines, and that kind of pulled me into the diamond industry.
Was that like the 70s and 80s?
That was the 80s, early 80s, yeah. So I started working in diamonds. I was working for a geological consulting firm. Actually, was a partner there, a firm called ACA Howe International, and we had a number of clients that wanted to get in on the diamond rush. So we were hired to start looking for projects for them. So that drew me all over the place, and mainly to Africa. I spent a lot of time in Africa developing deposits, and through that whole process of being a consultant, you start working with juniors, and next thing you know, you start running a junior company, and so I've run a number of different publicly traded companies on the TSXV, TSX. The last one was called Valdiam Resources, which was eventually taken over by a gold royalty company, which is now Cisco Gold Royalties.
Oh, really?
So they have a royalty on our Braúna mine, and so that company Valdiam was gobbled up by them. But I was able to get our Braúna mine out of that whole transaction, and that's the mine we operate down in Brazil.
Okay, let's bring it back to your Windsor days. How many years or decades did you spend there?
I think when I graduated, when I was maybe 22, 23, that's when I moved to Toronto, and got a job with one of the U.S. oil companies, Amoco Oil. Back in then, all the oil companies all had mining divisions because there was a tax break for them. If they spent money in mineral exploration, they got tax write-off on their oil revenues. So, you had a lot of companies like Esso and Amoco. They had mining divisions. So I worked for them when I graduated, and then I think the legislation changed with regards to that, and a lot of them pulled out, and that's when I got into consulting, and then eventually running public companies.
Did you have a family, or?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I've got two older sons that live here in Canada. One's up in Huntsville. He's in the he was a investment banker, made a bunch of money, and now he's kind of in programming, does his own thing there, and he lives up in Huntsville. And then I have a son who's a photojournalist and working here in Toronto for a communications company. And then I have a daughter in Brazil who's just going into high school now. So
okay.
That's I got a good family. My daughter keeps me young.
And your wife is Canadian?
My wife is Brazilian. Yeah,
Brazilian.
My wife's Brazilian. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we live down in Brazil, and in the northeast part of Brazil, in a place called Salvador.
So what's that like? The big shift from Canada to Brazil. I mean, how many years have you been living there?
I've been living there for probably 14 years now. Certainly, at first, it was quite a change. I had been going down there, quite a bit, because we were based at the time I ran Valdiam, and we were still active in Brazil. I was living in Toronto and going to Brazil all the time, so I was used to the culture and was learning my Portuguese, But to move there is a little bit of a change. Good things and bad things, getting used to the bureaucracy and things in Brazil is a little difficult at times. But the weather's fantastic and people are very nice. So there's a lot of good points too as well.
Okay. Well, let's kind of get into the company now. So how did you end up getting involved with this company?
Well, I formed this company. I mean, Lipari was, I was a founder of Lipari. Lipari was formed as a result of that transaction with that is now Cisco Gold. Yeah. We were able to pull this asset out of that transaction. We gave Cisco the royalty on the diamond production, and then we went forward and developed the Braúna mine on our own. So we developed it as a private company. I've got some very strong shareholders in Europe and in Antwerp specifically that are in the diamond business, and also out of Dubai, and they helped fund the construction of that mine. Capital cost was only $65 million, which is quite low for a diamond mine. And to date, it's produced and sold over $228 million worth of diamonds. So it's done pretty well.
So you're producing cash.
Yeah.
Cash flow positive?
Right now, with what's going on in the diamond industry, I wouldn't say we're cash flow positive because, this issue with the tariffs and specifically the tariffs on India, where there's a 50% tariffs on any Indian products going into the U.S. has had a serious impact on the diamond market right now. Diamond market, I wouldn't say prices have dropped because they haven't. They've remained relatively stable in most cases, but it certainly had an impact on demand and our ability for producers to sell their goods. The manufacturers just don't want to buy. So, that's having an impact on the market. Hopefully, this tariff situation is going to be resolved soon. I think it will. It seems that the U.S. government has recently drafted legislation to exempt natural diamonds from the tariffs.
Oh, that's great.
So hopefully, Trump will sign that and we'll be in good shape then. And we'll see the market rebound. And I think when once that happens, you're going to see prices start to increase. Certainly, demand's going to increase, and the diamond industry right now is a very interesting. It's an interesting situation. I think it's an interesting investment proposition because there hasn't been any exploration for diamonds in a long time.
There's only 20 or so companies.
Exactly, and it's been for the last 15, 20 years been very difficult for diamond companies to raise any money to do any exploration. So what that means is that there have been no new discoveries, right? So there's no new mines coming on stream. The only new mine that's coming on stream right now is the Lipari mine in Angola, and that came into production in November last year. But other than that, there's no new discoveries. So that means that there's no new mines coming in, nobody to fill the void when other mines shut down, and we're seeing mines shut down now. The two Ekati and Diavik mines,
just
for
because
instance.
of the economics?
Yeah, well, they're near the end of their life. Diavik is being shut down by Rio Tinto this year, and then Ekati, I think, has only got 3-4 years left, and it'll be shutting down. So, and we had the Victor mine, which was operated in De Beers. It was here in Ontario. That shut down a couple of years ago. You've got some mines in Russia that are shutting down. They're at the end of their life. So you've got production coming out of the pipeline and no new production coming in to fill that void. So, I think we're in a very good position. I think it's from an investor's perspective, diamonds you should be investing in diamonds, put a little bit of your, money and your portfolio into diamonds, because I think you're going to see a rebound because of this supply-demand dynamic, that demand is increasing. Demand's still strong in the U.S. In China, with all the incentives the government has put in place, the economy's starting to come back, and the Chinese are buying more luxury goods, and then India is growing dramatically in terms of its diamond consumption, diamond jewelry consumption. So the projection for diamond jewelry demand over the next few years is forecast to grow by 3 to 5% going forward, and supply is dropping.
What's the lifespan of your mine?
The one in Brazil right now, our mine plan looks like we have another 4 years left on the life of mine. We could probably extend that by doing additional exploration on some of the other kimberlites that surround our mine. There's 23 kimberlite deposits on our property, and we've only mined one of them. The other ones are smaller, so they aren't going to add significantly to the life of mine. But certainly, we could add another 3 years maybe to the life of mine. So, we'll be looking to do that. But in the meantime, what we're really focusing on is our project in Angola. That's the future of the company. Okay. That's where we can grow our production tenfold.
That's
in
blue
Brazil.
Sky?
That's it's more than blue sky. It's de-risked blue sky. That project in Angola is a project we call the Tchitengo project. That concession covers 30 kimberlite deposits. All of them are big kimberlites. The one that's most advanced is called the Tchitengo kimberlite. It was discovered by Alrosa, the big Russian diamond producer back in 2005. They brought it to feasibility in 2013 after spending $36.5 million on it. We have all that technical data. We have that feasibility study and all the design, engineering, everything. What we have to do now is to update that feasibility study. This was done in 2013. We've got to update it to today's costs, today's diamond market, and then look to push the project into production. So, because of all that work that's been sunk in there, the project's been de-risked, and we think it's a very short timeline to put it into production. Our group, I've got 200 employees, almost 200 employees with the company. Some of my employees have been with me for 20 years.
Wow.
They've been involved in early diamond exploration, right through construction into production. So we've got all the, let's say the phases of mine development in place, all that experience. And certainly we'll be able to use that experience to help us fast track our project in Angola. And for us as a Brazilian company, predominantly Brazilian employees, it's a smooth transition to work, in Angola. Same language, same cultures. Both countries were colonized by the Portuguese, so the legislation, the various legal regimes are pretty much the same. So there's not much of a learning curve there for us.
How much of this company do you currently own?
I owned about 1% or so personally of the company.
Okay. And how well financed is the company right now?
Look, we're looking for more financing to fund our development in Angola. So we're looking to raise between 5 and 10 million right now, and we've signed on with Arcstone Securities to help us raise that capital. So we expect to be raising that in the next couple of months, and that money will be focused on driving forward in Angola on the Tchitengo feasibility study. Other than that, we're sitting with cash and diamonds in inventory of around $6.2 million in the treasury.
Okay. Yeah, so you're looking to de-risk, expand, add lifespan, add, in mining we call ounces. What do you say in the diamond?
Carats. We're looking to grow our production. Our production in Brazil is 140,000 carats a year. So that throws off around $23 to $25 million gross revenue a year. In Angola, the Tchitengo kimberlite will be 10 times that. You're looking at a life of mine of 14 years as an open pit mine, producing 1.4 million carats a year. And we've got a resource there of 23.1 million carats that we've confirmed. We did a drilling program last year where we drilled off the kimberlite to confirm the work that was done by Alrosa. So we've confirmed the tonnages, we've confirmed the diamond content. Now we're busy moving a plant over there. We purchased a plant in Brazil, in Canada here to ship over to Angola. And we'll be sending that plant to Angola to put on site to process large bulk samples that we can recover a parcel of diamonds for valuation purposes. And with that value, then we can update the feasibility study, update the economics, and look to push the project into production.
The current mine that you have 4 years left, you went from being an open pit to an underground.
That's right, yeah.
Was that always the plan?
No. In fact, that mine, when we first put it into production, I think it had a life of mine of 5 years, 2016 to 2021. And it's still operating, so it shows that, your initial plans change as you go along, depending on economics, depending on diamond prices, obviously, and grade. So certainly no, we were never looking at an underground operation there. We were just considering a short open pit life of mine, but we've been able to keep the mine going and producing. And I think it's because of, our team, we're able to keep our costs in line, and also, the very high quality diamonds that mine produces. Our average sales value historically is $183 a carat. That's well above world average. World average last year in 2024 was $88 a carat. for all the global production. So, our diamonds are well above world average in terms of the quality.
So yeah, okay. So maybe get into that a little bit, because that's, I'm not used to talking to diamond producers.
Look, at diamonds come in all different qualities, natural diamonds, and we're lucky because our diamonds we produce some large diamonds. Just last month we recovered a stone that was 52 carats. So I mean it's a good sized stone, and which is very high quality there, and that tends to push your average value up. Also, the color of our diamonds are very, very good, and the shape, or what we call the model of the diamond, is very good. So when a cutter, takes a stone, they get very good yield out of it. When they cut it and polish it, they don't waste that much of the diamond,
right.
And that's important. So so really when they talk about the 3 C's, color, clarity, and cut. I mean, those are the most important aspects of diamonds, and we've got all of those. We check all those boxes.
Is there anything else you can educate the audience on diamond mining and how you actually grab the diamonds? Because again, I'm used to...
Let's look at it. It's a very, there's a lot of technology involved these days. Gone are the days where you're picking, diamonds out by hand out of the ore, out of the gravels. We use X-ray technology that when diamonds pass underneath an X-ray beam, they fluoresce under ultraviolet light. So there's machines there that sense that fluorescence, and by air or by a little door, push the diamonds out. So it's a completely secure system. At our mine, the diamonds are recovered in what we call a glove box. So the ladies that are picking the diamonds out of the concentrate, they're hands in gloves, and it's all a closed system. So it's completely secure. And I think one of the most important aspects of our production now is that you have a essentially complete chain of custody. So we can verify, we can prove to the ultimate retailer and the ultimate consumer where these diamonds came from. They're Braúna diamonds. We have,
that's pretty important.
It is important. We can demonstrate the chain of custody all the way along from the mine to the cutting house, to the retail store, to the consumer, and that's an important aspect. I think the other aspect that's important very important to us in our mine, in our company, is that we produce what we call green diamonds or eco diamonds. We're the only diamond mine in the world that doesn't have a tailings pond. So we have no long-term liability with regards to our mine or our site or for the community. And also we use very little new water to make up in our processing plant. We recover 98% of our water. We work in a very arid environment, so water is very precious. We're able to recover 98% of our water, and we can also sell that dewatered tailings as a soil remineralizer, because the tailings has high magnesium content, so it's almost like a fertilizer, and it can be sold to local agricultural operations to help them, remineralize their soil and increase their growth of their crops.
What's your shareholder base like? If we're looking at a pie chart, I guess how many shares are outstanding fully diluted-ish?
Yeah.
And then if we're looking at a pie chart, what would be institutional?
Well, you got about 165 million shares outstanding, and about 70% of the stock right now are held by insiders or our main shareholders. And principally 2 groups, one called BH Diamonds, that's a rough diamond trader, and they really provide us with access to the diamond market, and they help us with the sales process. So that's BH Diamonds. They're based in Dubai. And then we have another large shareholder called Firstfield Group, which owns a diamond manufacturing company where they polish diamonds. And they're one of our main shareholders as well. So we've got all aspects of the diamond, let's say, pipeline covered, rough diamond trading and polishing as well through our shareholder base. And it's very important to have that knowledge within your group, and they own a good chunk of the company. We were only listed in March of this year. So in terms of the float, we've got maybe 23 million shares.
So this was private?
It was private before, yeah. And we took it public on March 30th of this year. And so the float is rather thin, but we're working on improving the liquidity of the stock.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see that improve as we go forward.
Well, it sounds like you have a pretty good plan. I mean, were you involved in any other companies when this was private?
Not really, no, because it's, running a company like this with an operating mine,
Yeah,
you got to
focused.
devote 100% of your focus. That was one of the reasons I moved to Brazil, so I could be closer to the operation. That's kind of my philosophy. It's very difficult to really keep a good hand on costs and operations, sitting in Toronto when your mine is in Brazil. So I believe you've got to be close to your operation, and that's the way we operate.
It must have been nice, though, to be out of the public, to be operating a private company for a while.
And it
has
is.
its upsides.
It has its upsides, no, certainly in terms of the regulatory environment and that sort of thing. But that said, we always had this plan to take the company public, so we always followed the same, let's say, regulations.
Yeah.
That you have to follow. So
Sure.
we had one of the big five as auditors. We do our accounts to IFRS. Have the same governance policies in place. We were operating as a private company, but following, the regulations of a public one.
Sure, that makes sense. You know what? I think it's been a great interview. I know I've done another diamond interview before. It was years ago, though.
Well, we're few and far between, and there's only 23 diamond mines in the world.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, it's been difficult for junior companies to raise money for diamond exploration. I think that's starting to improve now. Participating in this conference yesterday, I noticed a lot of interest in our company in diamonds. So I think the interest is coming back, and hopefully more investors will get involved and put a little bit of their portfolio into diamond stocks, and I think you'll be well positioned because diamond prices are going to increase, no doubt. I have no doubt about that.
Well, thank you very much for doing the morning drive. I know in a couple hours you'll be off to the airport to go back to Brazil.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're going to have a relatively easy time raising those funds. Where can people reach out to? Who should people reach out to if they want to participate in that?
Well, they can look at our website, and I think it's info@liparimining.com. Email there. You can also get in touch with Archstone Securities. They're helping us on that financing, so certainly they could contact Archstone as well. But feel free to reach out. My information is on our website.
Awesome. Last question. Any other conferences over the next 3 to 6 months that you'll be attending?
I'll be going to one in November in Dubai, and I think it's a one-on-one conference in Dubai. I think that's going to be important for us because there's a lot of investors that are interested in diamonds in Dubai. Yeah. Also, they have a better understanding of Africa, where our focus is going to be going forward, with our Angolan project. So I think that'll be a good fit for us.
That's right, and you have a lot of support out in Dubai.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Okay. And then I'll be participating in the PDAC in next year, and probably heading down to Cape Town for the conference in Indaba in Cape Town in February.
Okay. Thank you very
nice,
much
Carl.
for the education on the diamond market.
Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you please follow them on their social media handles. I'm sure if you want to have a one-on-one with Ken, I'm sure he'd probably love to talk.
Yeah, you can reach out if you look on LinkedIn. I think you'll be able to connect with me through LinkedIn. I'm there and happy to talk to people and exchange emails and messages.